A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, Ulil Amr minkum. And a reminder always for myself, Ana abdukal ajis da'ifo miskeen zalim jahal. And but for the grace of Allah that we're still in existence. And Mawlana Shaykh when teaching us said that always say, Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, Ulul Amr minkum before you speak anything, and know that it is the greatest reminder. And within these three realities every secret can be found. It's like a fountainhead of every reality. The Atiullah, to obey Allah wa Atiur Rasul and to obey the prophetic command, the prophetic law, the prophetic reality, wa ulul amri minkum. And this is the rope that reaches to us. And a reminder always for myself, we say, and it may click after years for people to say, now I understand why he keeps saying that. Because it gives you your chain of command, that if there's a CEO of a corporation, a beautiful halal corporation, but there's a chain of command that drops down, and they say these are all the executives, high ranking executives. They're like the messengers, they take the command from the CEO and they propagate out to maybe thousands of divisions. Under those managers what we would call the Ulul Amri minkum, that they have divisions. If anyone's worked in a corporation alhamdulillah, I think even McDonald's has organizations, there's a chain of command. So you know the CEO, he's a great man, you see him once a year at the company party, but then there's all these managers which have all the authority to run their different divisions, and then below them like the ulul amri minkum and the men of authority. In the business corporate world these could be many levels of management. But when you enter into the company and whatever division you enter in, let's say for argument's sake you enter in the door, that I just want a basic job at this company, you're introduced and most likely you're interviewed that, what would you do if you had an issue? What would you do in this situation and that situation? And all of that was based on getting you a job to see what your mentality was. Are you going to be a troublemaker or are you going to follow the chain of command? And most likely if you answered wrong they don't hire you, and if you did answer correctly they hire you. You enter into that job and you realize that your access to the entire organization is your manager. Doesn't matter who you know and you've been and met them at the annual party, doesn't matter anything. And that you know that that manager is responsible for you, that gives you all the information so that you can perform your tasks correctly. And if you make a mistake, that manager, it's up to them to either cover you or expose you and get rid of you. So you're at the mercy of that manager. If you were good, your character was good, most likely you see that manager may even cover your faults. You're slacking on this, you're slacking, but I know you have a potential and I'm going to cover it. That's called intercession. And at every level somebody is interceding, because everybody fails in life in everything. We all make mistakes in a continuous cycle of mistakes. And there's somebody always either has a mercy within their heart and covers it, conceals it and tries to support people to grow, or there's people who come and try to antagonize and destroy and bring somebody down and expose their faults. So we see this whole system in our dunya, because people have to relate the teachings, say, oh these are very nice spiritual teachings, well how am I going to be applying this in my everyday life? Oh, you're applying it beyond your imagination. So every time you say, Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, Ulil Amri minkum, remember your dunya. And don't be a hypocrite. You acknowledge this system in your dunya. You live by it. You're either given a raise by understanding it or you're fired by coming against it. And all of a sudden the mass majority of human beings who live under this system and hierarchy of executives and bosses and managers, because everything is a corporation, even the countries are now corporations. All of that exists, but when it comes to religion, as if they forgot and say, "What? What do you mean by Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, Ulil Amr minkum?" I say, Allah has a hierarchy. And again, for our sake and to repeat to ourselves that obedience to Allah is impossible for creation. And that's why Allah gives the next rank is the Rasul. Means the messengers of God have been given the faculty, the hearing, the seeing, the breathing, the submission of their entire being to obey the command of the Divinely Presence. And as a result Allah wants us to make this constant zikr, Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, Ulul Amr minkum, and to remember that obedience to God is impossible. So what Allah gives to us is then obedience to the prophetic command and teaching, Atiur Rasul. So what happens now at this level of obedience to Prophet is that I have to follow the sunnah, I have to follow the Muhammadan way of reaching to Allah. But with the same logic of our corporate structure, I have to be under the guidance of a Ulil Amr. I need a manager overseeing what I'm doing. Somebody from this heavenly government has to be overseeing what I'm doing. If you're not connected to somebody from that government, you're lost, you are lost. Because now go back into our corporate life and arrogant people, they have, let's say, the boss's email from a party, they have even high ranking managers which would be like the Rasuls, they have their emails also from a party. As soon as they have a problem in their little position on their job, they start emailing the CEO and all of these top executives, "I don't like the way this guy used the photocopying machine." Next day you'll be fired, that you broke a chain. Why? Why didn't you go to your manager to resolve the issue that you have? This manager is like a lifeline for you. When they understood the corporate structure, they were very polite to the manager, very respectful for the manager, especially if they're noble and pious people, good people. Manager wants you to be promoted, manager wants you to improve your life, continuously trying to help and to struggle with you. You don't have any ability to email the CEO, because once you have an aql and a brain and you've worked with the manager, you'll understand that if you ever email you're going to be fired. And if you try to go over everybody's head to the big managers of big departments and regional departments, again you'll be fired. In the spiritual realm it has the same reality but deeper, but because it's the heavenly realm there's free will, that there's no being fired. If you continuously insist on talking about Allah as if you know Allah, you know the command of Allah and you don't mind being partners with Allah, what happens? It becomes against the adab. That's why they keep teaching it. Allah wants this, Allah wants that, Allah's like this, Allah like that. You see that in the corporate world it didn't make the cut. How shaitan fooled us to think that we can do that in the heavenly realm. Why? Then the students should understand, oh, this is like a bad employee. Why talking so much about the Divine? Why does it seem like he's trying to represent the Divine when Prophet who knows himself will know his Rabb. Arifa nafsuhu, nafs arafa rabbahu, which is very deep reality, and that's why the Rabb is not the creator but will know his authority, that which is an authority over him to help him and to bring difficulty to him. If he's bad with the authority, he's going to have difficulty. If he's good with the authority, he's going to have Allah's rahmah and mercy. So means in our life we live by the system, we understood the system, and in our life we understood that no, we have to listen to Prophet. And as a result of listening to Sayyidina Muhammad say, no, I want to hear from the realities of Prophet. I want to hear what Prophet said about Allah, not what this guy is saying about Allah. So then they sort out the Ulul Amr minkum, which is a command from Allah, obey these Ulul Amr. And if they are following the system we are describing, because many are not, this is for our students to understand that if they are not following this system, they talk a lot about the big boss, they talk a lot about Allah. You find that in the extremist groups and other groups, they cut out everybody in the company, they cut out everybody. They don't want to talk about Rasulullah and they don't want to talk about any Ulul Amr, they don't even believe there's Ulul Amr, and they're continuously talking about the Most High, and yet they don't know themselves. Arafa nafsuhu, arafa rabbuhu. If you don't know yourself, how are you going to know the highest in command? So then that type of teaching, when we hear somebody continuously teaching like that, that's not a company that you want to be involved with. Then you learn that, no, I have to hear from the people whom talk a lot about Muhammadan Rasulullah. Now that corporate structure seems to be correct, and as a result of wanting to hear about Muhammadan Rasulullah, they have to be Ulul Amr. So then shaitan tries to also make false companies like that they look like they're following Prophet. They come and they wear their pants too short and their shirts too long, and they want to go do all over the place walking and leaving their homes and leaving the way of Prophet, and they're imitating like they are Ulul Amri minkum, but as soon as you listen to them they again begin to talk about Allah. They learn 4 hadiths and talk again much about Allah, hoping to misguide students. Oh, he looked like he was talking a lot about Prophet, that's the 4 hadiths that he knows, but then the rest he's going to talk about Allah, as if again he's representing God Almighty on this earth. Then you must think you're a messenger of Allah because you didn't obey Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, Ulil Amr minkum. You're just at the station of Atiullah, that you think you're hearing Allah, now you can speak on Allah's behalf. The best company to enter in is a system that Allah is giving from the Qur'an, wa ulul amri minkum. Follow the Ulul Amr. They talk much about the realities of Prophet. Why? Because they are spiritually connected to that reality. As a result they receive the faiz and the energy, the light and the blessings from Sayyidina Muhammad. As a result of receiving that, they are the alif, mim, ra, they are the real reality. They take from izzat of Allah, from Atiullah, and because they accomplish the ability to follow Sayyidina Muhammad with sincerity and ishq within their heart, not the perfection of their form and the qiraat. That's what we try to describe with Sayyidina Bilal al-Habashi. For those who think it's the perfection, and if you don't recite Allah perfectly you're going to hell and your prayers don't count. What are they talking about? The one whom called in the presence of Sayyidina Muhammad called people to the way of Allah as-sadu, in which the language and the list was bothering some of the Arabs, saying, why you don't choose Arab to recite it? Why? To establish Allah doesn't care how he's reciting it, Allah cares about his soul, that he's reciting with his heart and soul. And if he doesn't recite, Allah won't let Fajr to appear. What kind of power is that? That is so sincere that Allah is with him. So the holy companions are here to remind us of their system. What they achieved was to be Ulul Amr. They are the masters of the Ulul Amr. They stood guard with their entire life and their being. For what? The command of Allah that's going to come through the holy heart of Muhammadan Rasulullah. Because the alif flows to the mim, because we're not ulul ar where we take the alif and come directly to the ra. But Allah says, look, my huruf is showing you my izzat and might can only be contained in the mim of Muhammadan Rasulullah. The command of the Divine can only flow to the heart of the prophetic reality. So then our life was to find these managers who are the amr, the people of the command. The signs would be their kindness, their loving nature, and that they speak only of Muhammadan Rasulullah. They speak of love and compassion, and their job is sirat al-rahmah. You know that the command after the Prophet was to guide people towards mercy. You're not to speak about hell and punishment and you're going to hell and you're going to hell and you're going to hell, because that's a shirk. Who you know who's going to hell? Who do you know who's going to be punished? So then these ulul amr, their khuluq and their character are the key. They make people happy, they give people hope, especially in hopeless times. They have a hikmah, ilmu laduni wa hikmati bis salihin. They understand when they enter into an area or they're broadcasting worldwide, people are in grief, people are reaching hopelessness. Their job is to make people happy. One, the beautiful praisings and the magnificent energy that comes from praisings, and teachings that are uplifting, light and make people happy. Because if their heart should open like a flower, it takes the rays of the sunshine which is the light and the love of Sayyidina Muhammad, and they become the ulul amr. Those ulul amr whom have the khuluq and the character that are gentle, that are loving, that are delicate, they're like gardeners in Muhammadan's garden of roses. Who owns this garden that we're describing? That's why we talked in the Hajj. Who's calling you to Allah? Is it Allah calling you, or Allah's describing to Muhammadan Rasulullah, I want filan, 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 call them, that's your job. When you heard the call and you came and you said labbaik, means that you're now in a garden owned by Muhammadan Rasulullah. So the ulul amr, are they supposed to go in the garden and smash all the flowers? Or something wrong with them to do like that? Is that your garden to ruin? Is that your garden to smash? Is that your garden to cut down? No, because the awliya, the real awliya, they're inheritors, they're the caretakers of this garden. They know his owner is Muhammadan Rasulullah, and they've been called to be in that garden Ulul Amr are merely caretakers of the garden and they should be very delicate with that flower. Each flower that is appearing is from the ishq and muhabbat of Sayyidina Muhammad. And as a result, the gentle gardener with loving hands and a loving nature is interested in nourishing every flower that's growing. That's why they speak, that's why they teach. Whether they're sick, they have headache, they have sickness, they appear and they begin to do their gardening. Their gardening is their ulum and their knowledges, not their just seeing them. It's the knowledges that flow from their heart are fountains that nourish these flowers, and through their guidance that they give is gently pruning. You know, you're a beautiful rose, you have to cut these leaves, they're going to stop the growth that you're supposed to have. So all of their guidance is to delicately trim and make sure that this rose grows the way that Prophet wants it to grow, so that one day it can be a beatific fragrance, and that fragrance the world can benefit from it, the city can benefit from it, or your home can benefit from it. This is the role of the Ulul Amr. If what we say is correct, look to the lives of the holy companions. They accomplished these immense stations of Ulul Amr, that they stood at the command waiting for what Prophet wanted from them. And why they reached to Samina wa ata'na, because we hear and we obey, knowing that from your holy lips is the speech of Allah Almighty. Anyone who accepts the Holy Qur'an accepts the reality that it's coming from the heart of Prophet as a continuous flowing, because we believe in the Qur'an, not the mushaf only, not the printed paper on ink that we don't know where it came from. That's the imitation. The real Qur'an is that which is flowing, alive, real, not even created but from his creation called Muhammadan Rasulullah. It's flowing from the soul of Prophet a Divinely power, because it's not from Prophet. Prophet is creation, but the Creator has a fountain flowing from that heart. It's called the Qur'an, the Holy Qur'an, majestic Qur'an. Not the paper. The paper is just trying to manifest those realities, but as a result of understanding the immensity of that reality, then those Ulul Amr they stood vigilant for that alif to address them through Muhammadan Rasulullah. If they achieve that, they achieve their Ra. So our animators is alif flows through the Mim. If they achieve the listening to the Mim, they became Ra. What Allah describes of these Ra, they kunum Rabbaniyoon, be Rabbaniyoon. Learn the book and teach the book. Who is the book? Muhammadan Rasulullah. Teach the book, don't teach Allah. It's way above your station. You give yourself away if you talk like that. It's good for our people because they should look and say, oh okay, this is one of those other companies. But Allah says, if you want to be Rabbaniyoon then learn the book, teach the book. What's the real book? The paper? No, the source file. Where that book is manifesting from? The heart of Sayyidina Muhammad. Learn him, love him, respect him, follow him, make praise often upon that reality. This is everything that the shaykhs are teaching, so that you can become dressed by this Ra and that Allah make you to be Rabbaniyoon. And in Hadith al-Qudsi that the ears will be from Allah's hearing, eyes will be from Allah's seeing, breath will be from Allah's breath, hands will be dressed from Allah's qudra, their feet will follow in the steps that Allah want from them. So much so they become Rabbaniyoon and kun fayakun, they merely wish it in their heart and begins to manifest, because their heart is a manifestation of what Allah wants through what Sayyidina Muhammad wants for them. Because they mastered that system. That's why Mawlana Shaykh said, don't start ever opening your mouth without saying, Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, Ulil Amr minkum, because every reality is coming from that. And you'll find every reality how it's placed in these three. That's why everything is recited 3 times. 1 for the obedience to Allah, 2 for the obedience to Sayyidina Muhammad, and 3 is then your lifeline is that Ulul Amr. Build your relationship with the Ulul Amr, focus on the Ulul Amr, build a love and respect for the Ulul Amr. And that's why then the communications open with them, email them. You don't need to message each other, message other people. Why are you messaging a non-Ulul Amr? Why are people seeking other means towards that chain? They don't need to. They just have to help me at nurmuhammad.com, they release that for that purpose. And then your life focus is very clear. You take their teachings, take their guidance, then you understand. So people can say, oh aha, now I understand. I live by that in my dunya. People live in a corporate structure and they respect the corporate structure all day long. They bring a gift to their boss, they wish them happy birthday to their boss, they bring a cake on Thanksgiving to their boss. Why? Because if you make a mistake you're hoping that boss covers you. Why all of a sudden in spirituality it's something ajeeb. It's like, what? Who? I have to say hello to him? Well, he's just praying for me. If you understood his responsibility you would have locked your entire being to that reality. But some do and they achieve, and others maybe one day it'll click. But if you relate it back to your work, everyone knows what we're talking about, because come different holidays everybody's getting everything. You say, who are you getting that for? My boss. Who are you getting that for? Oh, my boss. Why are you getting all these things for your boss? Oh, so that he give me a raise. A raise? Yeah, and that he'll cover my faults when I make a mistake. Oh, what about your shaykh? And which shaykh? Some people posting 3 different shaykhs. So which one your boss now? Why are you posting all these different things? You want to show that you're integrated and you're with everyone? If you show that then each shaykh will say, you're not with me. You can use our logos all you want but you're not with us. Because you're with one company and you're posting images of the boss from Coca-Cola. Your supervisor in Coca-Cola, your supervisor in Pepsi, but you're not posting about your supervisor. But you see how the business world has such a discipline, because shaitan helps you there. Because it's dunya, shaitan helps you, oh be very good. It's your boss's birthday, don't forget him. You do like this, he's like this, do like that. And you put your picture of your boss, so when he comes near your desk you see your happy people are with their boss. Do they put a picture of a different boss? Who's that? Oh, this is the boss at Coca-Cola's office. Oh really? So you have it in our office, the Coca-Cola boss? You say, yeah that's it. Okay. Nobody would do that. All of a sudden it comes to spirituality and we're thinking, oh yeah, no maybe there's this, because shaitan plays with you there. They want you to go tariq al-adab, they want you to break your adab. Why? So that you can crack your connection with the shaykh. But the shaykhs are merciful, they overlook everything, and that's when they pray to Allah, they don't know what they're doing. They say, well then give them a guidance so that they do know what they're doing, because a day is coming in which you break it you're in difficulty. There's such a flow of energy flowing and there's such a attack on that flow. Because you do it enough times you find that, like the talk we gave where you cut your rope and you seem like your boat is drifting away from the island. and you don't notice that your boat is drifting away, but you come back and realize these actions you took in which you didn't build the bond, you didn't build the love, you didn't keep the respect, you cut the line, and as a result of cutting the line the little boat has begun to drift away. We pray that Allah give us, and this is from the love of the holy companions. When we described that how they were tortured, they didn't see Allah, how they fought to their death, they all the struggles of all the holy companions. When you love the holy companions, they are the perfected symbol of love and obedience to the prophetic reality. And this was amazing to people who would visit. Say, these men whom are sitting in your company, all of them are warring tribes, but yet in the company of Muhammadan Rasulullah they were sitting and crying as he was talking. And this was astonishing for people who were visiting. So these are all warring tribes who for hundreds of years have been warring their clans, but their hearts melt and their love for Prophet homogenizes and brings them together. They forget their boundaries, their difficulties, their differences, because Jami'un Nas, the secret of Prophet is the gatherer of mankind. This is only from a divine light. If the shaykh inherits that reality, he shall also destroy the barriers of people from tribe to tribe. And we say in the last days, in Prophet's time the tribes were so split that literally they were killing each other on just a movement of a bow. Now when we meet with people they say the exact same thing, "Shaykh, there are tribes on the street, there's a gang that runs this street, a gang that runs that street. If that guy should go there he will be killed, and as you're driving through all these gangs anyone can kill." And these are the last days. People are like astonished, what was to happen? The Prophet promised the last days would be the exact same ignorance, that the world would be filled with injustice, because justice means just us. Each gang is just us, so unjust us means they're not going to include you, and as a result is just violence ruling the earth. But who will bring that is the Sayyidina Mahdi, the one whom comes with authority and power from the Divinely Presence. The master and the king of these Ulul Amr to gather the Ulul Amr and take all their hands and bring them to Muhammadan Rasulullah. But we have to be in that system from now. That's why they teach, remember your corporate structure, remember then whom talking too much from the Most High, not from this way. The one whom imitating Muhammadan Rasulullah but doesn't have the character, not from this way. This way is based on the Ulul Amr and these supervisors who represent mercy. Their character is gentle and soft, their speech is loving. It's not a condemnation to anyone to go to hell, to fire, to punishment. The shaitan is already doing that. We don't want to work for shaitan, we're working for Rahman. And each one whom trying to get power on the earth, now people are coming to receive a earthly power. They go around and try to get these different masjids to come together to make a mufti council, to give fatwas. They have no fear of Allah to make all of these things and do all these things, because they're trying to gather power from dunya and not from Allah. But the Ulul Amr, they don't need mufti councils, they don't need anything from that. They don't even want to give a fatwa out of the fear of the danger of that fatwa. But you see now in the dunya all of these organizations trying to make some power for themselves. If Allah didn't give it to them then they'll try to grab it themselves. We pray that Allah grant us this true love in the way of Sayyidina Muhammad and inspiration from holy companions to be truthful to your love to Sayyidina Muhammad and seek out those whom exhibit this love with their character, khuluq, with their words and their actions that match that character. By their deeds and their actions should show us. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifoon wa salaamun al mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati Muhammadan Mustafa bi sirri Suratil Fatiha. From this talk, give me some questions, Zishan. Use inspiration from this talk, don't talk from 3 weeks ago.
As-salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Shaykh Nurjan. Thank you for watching the video that you're watching. Inshallah, if you're happy with the content and happy with these programs, please support the button below, the programs that we have for our orphanage repairs, our water well, Give the Gift of Life, our mobile food vans. We have now 5 vans: Vancouver, Chicago, Los Angeles, Pakistan. There's many programs that reach thousands of people and rescue foods and give those supplies to people in need. Your support is greatly appreciated. Also, be so kind as to leave loving comments and please share the stream. Every bit counts. As-salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.